Welcome back to the Retro Review. I am the Bearded Geek. Joining me as always is Mikey the Freak.
What's up?
And Bibo.
Hey.
Before we get started, I want everybody, if you like this show, hit that like, subscribe, give us a good old thumbing. Make sure you leave comments. Tell us what you would like to see on our next episode. This episode, we are going to be doing one of our all-time favorite movies. It is basically...
Mac and me.
No, it is not Mac and Me.
Shut up.
It is basically our
Edit.
logo to the show. It is why we do this. It is Back to the Future. Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about Back to the Future?
A little bit
All right.
about it.
I don't know anything about it. Basically, I'm going to read what IMDb says. We know this movie like the back of our hands. We can quote this entire single movie. I think, yes, look at Kevin. There you go. There you go, Bearded Geek. You got your tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, there's a lot on here. So Marty McFly, a 17-year-old high school student, is accidentally sent 30 years into the past in a time-traveling DeLorean invented by his close friend, the eccentric scientist Doc Brown. So that is it in a nutshell. Thanks,
That's the movie.
everybody.
Thank you, everybody, for
Thanks
watching.
Thanks for watching.
And
I appreciate
credits.
it. Credits roll. Yeah, so it does. So we have a young teenage slacker that he's always been called. He doesn't want to. He basically doesn't want to go to school. He's always tardy, and he brings his friends. The one at the time, Jennifer Parker, which is his girlfriend at the time, the same way. And he wants to do something more. So he wants to become this big rock star. So he has a band that wants to play at the dance.
What's the band's name?
The Pinheads.
There you go.
The Pinheads.
Wombat cold cuts.
Yeah, the trivia. The movie is it's there's no words. I can't even come up with words with it. It is one of those oddly peculiar. It's iconic. It is it's dated. It's era dated, I guess, because it's 80s.
Mm-hmm.
When they go back in 1955, a lot of amazing vehicles that they've actually were able to get for this movie. Older, like 46 Ford, some Buicks, but amazing vehicles for the period. But what's I always thought was peculiar, and everybody's watched this movie, so they kind of understand. It's strange.
And you haven't, spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers.
Yeah,
cover your ears, eyes, whatever. He goes back in the 50s, and he basically disrupts time by having interactions with his mother and his father at the point where they met. Mm-hmm. And it's weird because his mother falls in love with him.
Little incest going on there.
Yeah, so they talked about this movie being very incestual back in the 80s. They're like, that's not right. Your young version of your mother would she fall in love with you if you went back in time? I don't think so. I don't think I would even attempt it.
Well, it was the Florence Nightingale effect.
Yeah, where the patient fall in love with, or the nurse fall in love with their patients.
Yep,
makes sense. Yeah. So with that, it causes a ripple in time, so to speak. So he has to figure out ways with his 1955 counterpart, Doc Brown, to figure out how he can get back to the future, back to 85, and solidify his existence. Because at this point, they're not able to meet. They're not able to fall in love. They don't kiss for the first time at the Enchantment on the Sea dance. Therefore, him and his brother and sister.
At the rhythmic ceremonial ritual, right?
Yeah, the rhythmic ceremonial ritual. Like, that's the one. That's the one they go to. But it's a little, there's that word again, heavy.
Something wrong with the Earth's gravitational pull? Future?
What? Oh. So yeah. So as you can see, of course, he makes it back to the future. blah blah blah. The rest is history. He ends up changing his life, changing his parents' life because he teaches his father to stick up for himself, and that's what the problem was in the original '85. And then when he went back to 1985, towards the end, his father had a lot more confidence in himself, and actually, dressed better. Everything worked out better in the new at 1985. So it basically goes to show that you should have confidence, and you could go far. Don't be such a coward or a chicken.
If you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. That is basically the moral of the story, that they actually tell you that in the beginning of the movie.
Yes, the entire movie. Like Doc always says,
I watched the wrong movie.
Oh shit!
Oh dang!
Doc says, you put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything. Yeah, that's
as you can see,
word.
we can quote this movie like it's nothing. It's like me and the bearded. I'm sorry, I am the bearded geek. Me and Mikey the Freak. Me and Mikey the Freak would actually give each other trivia questions about this movie when we were younger. We would watch this movie, write down trivia, and the next time we saw each other, we would ask each other questions, because back then we didn't have cell phone. There's no such thing as a cell phone.
Yeah, what was that?
We would actually
we would come up with the most far-fetched, hardest question that you could imaginable.
Such as, here's one for you right now. Let's just on
we
the
would
spot.
stump each other. I'm probably rusty, I'm sure.
Probably. In 1985, in the McFly household, in the beginning, before everything changed good, what brand of coffee is sitting on the counter? This is the type of trivia we would do.
I think it's you, man.
It is not. It is Maxwell House.
Even I knew that one.
Shut up. You didn't.
But that is the type of trivia we would do.
All right, give Bebo a question. I guarantee you he won't know it.
Give Bebo a question?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Please be simple. Please be simple. Please be simple. They get something real easy, like what does BTTF stand for?
Nope. What brand of beer does Lorraine's dad drink? What brand of beer does Lorraine's dad drink?
I'd say that was an easy one.
Yeah.
Miller Lite? Just kidding. I have no idea.
The High Life, baby.
Miller High Life. You're close.
Do you know how I know that I don't know? I still haven't watched the movie. Never have.
That's the type of trivia we would give each other. Just background stuff, like just.
You had to pay attention.
Yeah, because we know this movie back.
What color Calvin Klein underwear was he wearing?
Purple.
Yep.
I knew you.
It's written all over your underwear.
But that's what we do. We did that. It's our favorite movies. I love this movie. I believe that this movie is probably perfectly written, because every scene, every shot means something. It's either brought up later or something has changed from it. Every scene has its importance. It's little stuff. Even like Lone Pine Mall changes into Twin Pine Mall at the end.
You have that reversed
backwards. Twin Pines Mall.
Yeah,
turns into Lone Pine.
Yeah,
you're a real big fan there, Bearded Geek. Whatever.
But just simple stuff like that. It's like I've always wanted to get a Lone Pine Mall or a Twin Pine Mall security shirt and go to a party, and in the middle of the party go and change this shirt to a Lone Pine, and just be like, not tell anybody, see if anybody gets it.
We can make one. We'll make them. I'll have my wife make them. We'll do it. I like it.
But just little things in this movie means everything, between even the band scene. It had Huey Lewis from Huey Lewis in the News in there in the gym telling Marty he's playing too loud. when he's playing Huey Lewis's song, "The Power of Love." So it's just little things, little Easter eggs throughout this entire movie is what makes this movie great, in my opinion. Bebo, what'd you think of it?
Never saw it.
He never saw it. Didn't he tell it?
No, I mean, let's be honest. This is one of our favorite movies. It is probably, if anyone brings up a time traveling movie, this is the iconic go-to movie for anyone, especially our generation.
Oh yeah.
You know, I mean, if you're gonna build a time machine, you know, you might as well have a little class build it, you know, into a DeLorean.
You know, because the stainless steel structure of it.
The stainless steel construction makes the flux dispersal. Look out!
But I mean, the amount of DeLoreans that people have bought to purposely turn into just strictly this and just drive them to car show events, you know, Comic-Cons. We see these all the time at the Comic-Cons locally here. Bear the Geek just moved to Texas, so I know he'll see him at cons out there.
I'm sure I will, yeah.
I think we may have even have had one time at one of the Bartow Comic-Cons.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, you know, this is, I mean, you're not, even though, like we said, we've seen this movie a gazillion times. I can guarantee you, for all three of us, if we're just browsing through the channels and this is on, regardless of where it is, we're stopping.
Yeah.
There's no more. There's no more channel surfing at this point. It's just like, oh, okay, let's watch this again. Because, you know, you're every time you watch it, you want to know, you know, oh shit, did Marty get back home okay?
I think what we do, we watch it and then we try to pick out things that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
We're always looking at the background. Like, what did I miss?
There's so much. Every time you watch this, you pick up something
all over
new.
the place.
Like, it probably was, I don't know, the 80th time I saw the movie before I realized Michael J. Fox was even in this thing. Just
that was Eric Stoltz.
Yeah, that was Eric Stoltz the whole time. Eric Stoltz
I thought I was watching The Mask, couldn't figure out why the hell a DeLorean was in it.
Eric Stoltz is in The Mask.
Eric Stoltz is still in Back to the Future. Did y'all know that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And we're just gonna leave that there and let the viewing public
y'all
find figure that one out.
But no, the movie itself was classic then. It's, to me, it's still something that holds up for me because I can watch it anytime and it's never something I watch and be like, well, they could have done that better. You know, even with the special effects, what they were at the time and where we've gone to with special effects, I feel like if you try to redo that movie with today's special effects, you're going to lose a lot.
And really, the special effects, there's not a lot of special effects for it being a sci-fi time travel movie.
It's usually just what happens with the car, you know?
Yeah, that was a lot of it.
Lighting of the car and stuff like that. And I feel like we need to give a shout out to the biggest underrated character in this entire movie, which is, of course, the clock tower.
The clock tower.
No, I do love Einstein. Yeah, Einstein
little devil
is the dog. If y'all haven't watched this, and if you haven't, you're gonna have to build up some credibility before we talk to you on this podcast. But what I love is the names of dogs, because in the present time before Marty goes back, he's got a dog named Einstein, and then when he goes into the past, it's basically like the same breed, but the damn dog's name is Copernicus.
Yeah.
It's just, it's hard to verbally tell you how much this movie impacts somebody, how much you love it, the things you love about it, because the second you start trying to do that, your mind just gets flooded with too much information and you just sit so for me it was a great movie, for its time, even today, and as you can see, we got to meet these fine people. and that was like the highlight, I think, of my life so far, which is, I don't know if that's good or sad, but either way, I'm glad it happened.
Don't tell my wife, but it beats getting married too. So.
Yeah, don't tell my wife because she doesn't watch our podcast. And
your wife was
it is the
in
best
that
day of my
picture.
life.
Your wives weren't in that picture, and even they agree that that's the best thing of their lives. But no, it's just, it's a great movie. It's a good, to me, it's a good, in a weird way, a family movie.
Yeah.
It's something I could watch with kids or not.
Excluding the incest.
It never really happens.
Get out of the incest.
Never really happens. It's a kiss, and even then she says it's like kissing my brother.
Yeah.
Which begs the question, how does she know that? But it was... It's
that
just
Uncle Joey?
Yeah, probably. Joey? We never see him. Except for the one time. You better get used to these bars, kid.
Yeah.
But it was just a really great movie. Mikey, how do you feel about your Back to the Future experience?
The best, I definitely can say that was that Comic-Con that we went to with not just the Back to the Future, but every guest from our generation that we watched growing up was amazing. But to get to meet Michael J. Fox and the entire cast was by far the most elegant, interesting, exciting. We ran out of the picture like, holy shit, there he is.
We lost our shit when we got out of there.
A little shaking a little bit,
And we don't get starstruck.
No.
We've seen a lot out of all three of us. We've seen a lot of celebrities.
A lot.
Everywhere, whether they're cons or at around like the parks or Universal, Disney, around town, shit like that. Yeah. But restaurants, it's we've seen them pretty much everywhere, and that was probably the most iconic Comic-Con we've ever been to. And then there's nothing ever going to top that, because even if they come back, it still would be the same.
It'd be Back to the Future too. Yeah.
Yeah, Back to the Future too. Yeah.
If they announce it again, we're going to sit there. Oh my God, we're getting a sequel. No,
gonna see them again. But yeah, I mean the movie being that we pretty much, and I can almost guarantee it, we could write the entire script, or at least we could start talking, and we would be able to finish each line right after that. Constant, no matter which one we're watching, 1, 2, or 3. But I think 1 is probably the most quotable movie. The franchise, I'll go with the franchise, but I think Back to the Future 1 out of the 3 is probably the most quotable movie to me of all time. Because there is so much stuff that we say 1 or 2 words and boom, it pulls right up. Yep. It's like I want a tab.
Tab?
Can't get a tab unless
Give me a Pepsi free.
Just give me something without
any caffeine. You want a Pepsi pal, you're going to pay for it. Yeah. Well, give me something without any sugar. Something without any sugar.
Coffee.
And there's coffee. Yeah. So we literally could start with 1 or 2 words and just finish the whole scene. So that has always been touching and what's so good. And I don't think I can do it with any other movie with you guys.
Here's a question I want to pose to you.
Yeah.
Goldie Wilson. Goldie Wilson is the...
He never died.
Janitor or cook, whatever he is in the little shop back in 1955.
Yeah, it was a busboy, I guess.
Does McFly saying he's become mayor... Does
cause him to become mayor?
Cause him to become mayor? Put him on that path? Or was that his path all along?
I think it was already his path all along.
Yeah, I don't like the conspiracy theories when you start doing that. Especially, don't fuck with my movie. All right, there's no conspiracy theories.
Well, the way I look at it is, he was heading in that direction because before he ever went back in time, he was already the mayor at that point.
Yeah.
Even though he went back in time and changed some stuff, it never changed the fact that he was mayor. He didn't become something, more like governor,
There's a lot of
Goldie Wilson.
I've seen a lot of theories and stuff like that. I'm like, no, that don't.
And I will say that this is one of this franchise has probably got one of biggest running conspiracy theories or just theories in general about, well, that couldn't have happened. This isn't how time travel works, and stuff like that. I will say that my favorite quote from Back to the Future in another movie, which the Bearded Geek hasn't seen, is going to be the end game with the Avengers Endgame, is when they're sitting there talking about, you just don't have to run into your past selves. And they're like, well, which movies told you, where'd you get that from? And he's like, Back to the Future and Back to the Future 2 and stuff. And they just run through it. And then at the end, he's just like, Back to the Future was full of shit. When he said that little part of the line, however it goes, I love that portion of that movie just because, again, this is a movie from 2020 or whatever that is fucking quoting this movie because it is so iconic.
Dude, Family Guy. Family Guy does skits on Back to the Future all the time. It's Back to the Future is pop culture. It's even younger people who haven't seen this movie know that the quotes and stuff are from Back to the Future.
Well, what about this? What about Rick and Morty? Rick and Morty is Doc Brown and Marty McFly. To me, if I never,
it's not just to you. That's to like everybody, though.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. If you never were to watch, if you watch Back to the Future and then you watch Rick and Morty, it is those are the characters,
right?
That's how everybody sees it. But when I started watching Rick
creepy
and Morty,
old man with a little teenage boy, you're exactly right.
They never really explain. They never really explain that either. So, but.
The relationship.
Yeah, like I'm saying Doc, one day said he has a big amplifier, and Marty's like, well, I play guitar, so that's probably how they became friends.
I think.
And he was like, if you get in my blacked out van, I'll take you right there.
Your white petty van. My idea, my I guess my philosophy or whatever you want to call it is that, Marty was the type that he wanted something better. He wanted something bigger. And Doc had all this cool shit that he could come over and mess with and play with it. Because remember, Marty is poor. I mean, his life sucks. He has nothing. His parents are boring, useless. His brother works at McDonald's,
Burger King.
That's right. It was Burger King. That's right. No, well, anyway, and his sister didn't do shit either. So I think she was out of work. It didn't really say where she worked, but it was one of those to where I think he just wanted something more, and it just so happened that he wanted a kid or a guinea pig to kind of have that relationship because nobody liked Doc either. He was a has-been, crackpot scientist.
His mansion from the 50s down and stuff like that.
Yeah, he burned his fucking mansion down. So he had all that stuff against him, and I think it was just two people that was looking for companionship that found each other. It was kind of romantic.
It's a love story. Oh,
it was a love story
with a happy ending.
Broke Back to the Future.
Ooh. Broke Back to the Future. Worst sequel ever.
Right.
It's one of those movies that it'll live on, and it's a very entertaining movie for all ages, no matter what type of movie you prefer. Whether you don't like sci-fi, you'd still get into this movie.
Agreed.
Regardless,
the pacing on it is just perfect. I mean, like I said, it's cinematography wise, the pacing, the way it's shot, everything about it is almost as perfect as you can get for a movie. What was the time machine made out of? What was the time machine made out of?
Aluminum.
Aluminium.
One of these?
He'll rip through us like we're in tinfoil.
Wrong movie.
Future 2.
Wrong movie.
Back to the Future 2.
This is a little bit of memorabilia I'm showing off from my Back to the Future. It is from Back to the Future 1. Little car.
Oh, are we in the memorabilia? Are we in the memorabilia section yet?
I'm going to go ahead.
I have a lot of shit.
I'm just showing off this right here. stuff that I brought from my shelf, and I'll let Mikey the Freak show off his right after this because you have to save the clock.
Save the clock tower. Save the clock tower.
Okay,
30 years
speaking
ago,
of that
lightning
button,
struck that clock, and the clock
which I
hasn't
believe
run
was
since.
which I believe came in a BAM box, if I'm not mistaken, because I have one somewhere.
I never got one.
But
actually, I
but
think
here's
this
the
came
thing.
I actually believe this came in Loot Crate.
That's what it was Loot Crate. Excuse me. When Back to the Future Day happened, I was at work and I wanted it to be subtle, so I wore that like with a white kind of plaid shirt, and I just wore it kind of like right here, and almost nobody noticed it the entire day, which is what I love. Nobody ever caught on.
I love that.
And I'm in like, I think I was going to lunch, and it was the only time somebody caught on. I got in the elevator and I'm standing up against the wall of the elevator. There's two girls in front of me facing the door, and there's a dude behind them, and I just see this. Nice. And I was like, perfect. That's all I wanted. The entire day it was just the subtlety there.
I want somebody to acknowledge my button.
Yeah. Well, it was just like everybody else was wearing, like you guys are wearing now, like Back to the Future shirts and stuff like that. And I was just going for the subtlety factor, because when I buy shirts like that, it costs a second mortgage because there's a lot of fabric involved. So I just wore the pin, and I was, at least I got a little validation. And stuff. What I loved is that the people who were on my team at work were a lot younger than me and didn't really get the reference. I had to explain it to them, which made me cry a little. But I love that pin.
Awesome. If anybody has not seen this movie, if you're younger and you have not seen this movie, go freaking watch it. Do yourself a favor.
Yeah.
Right now, pause this video and go watch that right now.
And then come back and we'll talk.
Yes.
And then hit rewind and start this over.
Yeah. Tell us what you thought about the movie. So after you watch this, you can pause it, go watch Back to the Future 1, come back, comment, finish the movie. Let us know what you think of the movie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, what do you got to show off there?
All right. So to homage Bebo's picture in the background, if you want to point at the picture, there you go. Bebo, Kevin and I are wearing the same exact shirts
pretty much
from that picture. So but no, we ended up getting. I know we ended up getting autographs, but I have my Funko collection. I have this one is autographed, of course, by Christopher Lloyd, and then I have the 2018 Canadian convention exclusive Marty McFly. That is autographed by Michael J. Fox, right there.
This guy, then, in case you're wondering.
That guy, yes, that guy. So, and then also part of my Funko collection. I'm sorry, Bearded Geek, but he hates me for this. But it is my prize Funko. It's my most expensive Funko, and it's the hardest one I think that you can actually find. But it's the Doc Brown glow in the dark from San Diego Comic-Con from 2014, and it is it is a $900 Funko.
No, I've got three of
them. Yes, I'm sure you do.
I opened them up and melted them down, and made other shit out of them.
Yes, now you can kick his ass, Bearded Geek, because I definitely wouldn't have done
blasphemy.
That.
You do not deface anything Back to the Future.
No, absolutely not. And then something that is from 1985 that Bearded Geek can actually play is the Nintendo Back to the Future game, which was weird because they made Back to the Future 2 and 3, but they put it together.
Right.
So they should have just, and I have that back there also. But it's, why didn't they just put it on its own? So there's the Super Nintendo or the regular Nintendo Back to the Future. And this I actually just found about a month or so ago. You can actually find at Walmart now, but it's a Back to the Future TV. And this actually remote works. It controls this TV. And I would play it. It's off demo mode because I actually played with it. But it plays it plays scenes from the original movie on this little TV.
Yes, now we can watch Jackie Gleason while we eat.
Yeah, look at her roll.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come
look
in
at
here
roll.
and eat your dinner.
What's a
That
rerun?
was funny. What's a rerun? You'll find out.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into ratings real quick.
Yes.
Ratings.
1.2.
Let's start with Mikey the Freak. Mikey the Freak, go ahead and give your rating.
I'd have to say I can't give this. I give it a 9.5. I can't give it a 10, just because it's not a perfect movie. There were so many video edit issues. There was a lot of small things that it didn't ruin the movie, but if they would have gotten it right, then this could have been a 10. But the acting wasn't the greatest. But
You take that back.
I know.
We've sat through Mac and Me. This had great acting.
Compared to those movies, absolutely. But it's only half a point. So very entertaining. It's going to be around 50, 100 years from now. People are still going to be talking about Back to the Future. I can't guarantee it. I won't be around. But definitely something fun for all ages, like we discussed. But one of those movies where, like Bevo said earlier, no matter where it's on, it could be on the last 10 minutes of the movie, and I'll sit there and watch it and keep it on, and just to watch the Back to the Future roads where we're going. We don't need roads, and then take off. So was that the last 2 minutes? But yeah, we'll sit there and watch it no matter what part of the movie's on. It's an iconic movie back then. It pushed a lot of boundaries back then. With sci-fi, not a lot of people like the original, and then they have an alternate when they changed from Eric Stoltz to Michael J. Fox. They had a lot of the movie done already, and Michael J. Fox's first scene was right there at the DeLorean disappearing in the mall. That was his very first scene. So they had all that stuff done. So it went sideways. And then when they finished the movie, a lot of people didn't like it. And then I think it was the second screening, everybody, a thunderous applause, and the rest is history. But a 9.5, absolutely a 9.5 out of 10.
Awesome. So, Bevo, I was expecting you to pass that
Bevo,
along.
go ahead. I'm sorry. I was looking at something else. I apologize.
And I'm just over here like, I don't get to go.
And Bevo, what did you think about Back to the Future 1?
Never saw it.
We've stated that.
Yeah.
So just off the top of my head and what you guys discussed, because I've never seen the fucking film, I would say I'd give this maybe
11.
1 point. No, I'm just kidding. I would probably rate this around.
It's not very funny. We were probably going to reach through this computer and snatch you from your house.
Well, what I loved is when you said 9.5 and not a 10. The Bear Geek did kind of look at you like Ivan Drago, like he was like, "I must break you." But I am going to give this a 9.5 as well, only for the simple fact that this is not my favorite Back to the Future.
Okay. Yeah, that don't count. That still matter.
Yeah, it does. Because if I like the other one better, I can't get. We're not allowed to do like a 9.9. You guys have said that. So I'm going to give this a 9.5. I love the movie. I think it's great. It holds up. And even today, I think you could watch this with any age group and it would be enjoyable. It's definitely something I think all three of us would recommend to anybody. If you couldn't tell already. But I'd say overall for me, just, it's a classic movie. It's iconic. It was a great movie then. It's a great movie now. And I loved everything about it. So I'm going to give it a 9.5.
I'm going to give this a 10. This was,
shocker.
Yes, I'm giving this a 10. I will be the one to give this the perfect rating. I believe, like I said, I believe it's shot almost as perfect as you can, getting the pacing on it. between the beginning of the movie to the end. The end just has you on the edge of your seat when Doc Brown plugs in the thing while he's standing on the clock tower, and then it unhooks from down below. You're like, oh my God, what's going to happen now? He slides down, gets it at the very last second, hooks it up. You're on the edge of your seat that whole time. The pacing, it's
I have an
dramatic.
issue with that scene.
Okay, well that's fine for you.
Oh Jesus!
It's dramatic. Actually, the one thing I questioned throughout this whole movie is when the Libyans come through and Dr. Brown says, "Oh my God, they found me. I don't know
I don't know
how
how they found
But
me.
you have a big, huge truck that says Dr. Emmett Brown, scientist
Yes.
on the side, Enterprises on the side of it. Are you serious? You don't know how they found you? All they have to do is drive around. They'll see they'll see that big, huge car carrier of a truck. That's the only issue I have, and I'm still giving this a 10 because I love the whole scene. It is a perfect 10. I'd recommend it to anybody. Bebo, what do you have for some trivia?
There's very little ever written about this. So I got a couple. I mean, there is literally so much trivia. We could do like probably 2 more podcasts on this shit alone.
Me and Mike can probably do the own trivia about it. Yeah.
So I'm just going to read off a few things, and then if y'all even want to kick in with any of the trivia, feel free. But one thing I liked is that the script itself was rejected 44 times before it was finally greenlit. I do love the fact that Christopher Lloyd stated he always wanted to do one more movie in which Marty and Doc travel back to ancient Rome.
Okay.
That was interesting.
Yeah, like with all the stuff that they could have done, that would have thrown me off because if the DeLorean or even the train from the third one,
that's what the cartoon
break down in that area, how the hell are you? Well, we're going to actually take horses and make no, I'm just kidding. Let's see here. So according to Bob Gale, on October 22nd, 1985, a group of people showed up at the mall used to film the Twin Pines mall location to see if Marty would arrive in the DeLorean. He of course did not.
That's funny.
Let's see here. Crispin Glover, who played George McFly, Marty's dad in the film, the younger version and the older actually, for just this first one, claimed to have seen the film only once shortly after its release. In contrast, Christopher Lloyd stated that when he stumbles across a Back to the Future film while Channing surfing, he often sits and watches it. He's like us.
Yay! That's why we like it.
Little side note.
But he rarely signs anything Back to the Future.
Yeah. And just for the record, me and him do have the same birthday. Just throwing that out there.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I know, right? Let's see. So Michael J. Fox had always been the first choice for Marty, but he was available due to scheduling conflicts with his work on Family Ties. As Family Ties co-star Meredith Baxter was pregnant at the time, Fox was carrying a lot more of the show than usual. The show's producer, Gary David Goldberg, simply couldn't afford to let Fox go because of that. That's when Zemeckis and Gale then cast Eric Stoltz as Marty based on his performance in The Mask, which... And then after 6 weeks of filming, Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale felt that Stoltz wasn't right for the part, and Stoltz actually agreed. By this stage, Baxter was fully back on the show, and Goldberg agreed to let Fox go off to make the film. So that's how that all came about. We've mentioned before Huey Lewis's cameo in the movie. That's when Marty's being judged at the band auditions at the beginning. The judge who stands up to say, "It's just too darn loud," is actually Huey Lewis, who actually had 2 songs featured on the movie soundtrack, which was The Power of Love and Back in Time. Let's see.
So who else, when Power of Love comes on, stops whatever the hell they're doing and cranks up the radio?
It's on my radio at work right now.
I'm just saying, yeah.
What I love is that after the film's release, body kits were actually made for DeLoreans to make them look like the time machine. So they actually made the body kits because of the movie.
Yes.
So Thomas F. Wilson,
Mhm.
who we love and adore as Biff, in case you're wondering, is that guy. Almost had his collarbone broken in the scene where Marty and Biff are about to fight in the cafeteria, as Eric Stoltz roughed up Tom for real, take after take, despite repeated requests from Tom to tone down the aggression. Tom later said he was about to return the favor during filming of the car park scene outside the dance, but Eric was fired before that confrontation could take place.
I'll have my
Eric
day.
Stoltz, you're still owed one.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. And speaking of Doc's truck, Bearded Geek, one of the things that I do like is that if you pay attention, the sticker on the back of Doc's truck says one nuclear bomb can ruin your whole day.
And that's the small thing. That's the small things that we would look for when watching the movie. That's a good one. I like that.
This was the top grossing release of 1985. Shocker. And in regards to the DeLorean, the vehicle that was made into the time machine, it was actually it was deliberately selected for its general appearance and gull-wing doors in order to make it plausible that people in 1955 would presume it to be an alien spacecraft.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, like the comic.
Yeah, and and what I love is in the movie, Leah Thompson's, who plays Marty's mother, which is that one.
Mm-hmm.
She had to be in makeup for 3 hours to make her look 47 years old.
Wow.
Which I can kind of understand, because I'll be honest, she hasn't really aged.
No, that's 2 years ago.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, just looking at her now, like, you would never guess that, she is as old as she is. She looks great.
She really does.
Yeah.
And I'm in love with her daughter, but don't tell her that.
Super sweet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, extremely nice. I actually got to meet her briefly, I think, with... Oh, no, I was going to do it with Mikey when he was in line for autograph, but I had to run to go get Michael J. Fox's autograph.
Oh, yes.
Because the jackass at the fucking convention lied to me about what time I was supposed to be there for my autograph with him, because it was supposed to be earlier that day. And I said, so do I just come back during normal times? And he's like, yeah, and just present your ticket. That wasn't true. The one who did the Michael J. Fox experience thing that I bought the tickets for, were supposed to have their own signing first thing in the morning, and that jackass did not tell me about that portion, and it was not like advertised anywhere. They were supposed to tell you that when you got the tickets. But it was the only time I've ever gotten to use that VIP line, because I told them that, and they took me over to the VIP and then raced me over there and let me cut in front of the mountain of people that were in line.
That's awesome.
So that I was not complaining about, because that was a long ass fucking line.
Dude, that's one of the longest lines I've ever seen for anybody to be signed for, was Michael J. Fox. I'm
telling you, his would have been the longest time I've ever spent in line had I not had that ticket and gone to the VIP, because the longest I've waited for a photo or autograph or anything was for Kate Beckinsale. I was in line for 2 hours to get her photo.
All right, moving on.
But anyways, there's literally just mountains and mountains and mountains and mountains and mountains of trivia on this.
I believe it.
Thing. So,
So moving on to retro movie memorabilia, I'm going to go ahead and start it off with a $900 pair of shoes. These are Nike Bruin Marty McFly Back to the Future shoes, size 9.5 mag red, white low Jordan. Whatever, dude.
900.
Yes, these are the shoes, the Nikes that Marty wore in the first, when he was in 80. Well, he wore them in both. So it's the white and red Nikes. These are
never changed the shoes.
Yeah, he never changed the shoes. You could get you a pair for $900.
He's still wearing them to this day.
This is a rare Back to the Future Master Crafters 911 Happy Time clock. It is one of the clocks that Doc has in the opening scene of the movie, where the camera just pans across his house and all you see is just clocks everywhere. This is one of the clocks It is the one with the man leaning up against the pole and the clock right above it with a light pole. For $2,295, you could get this clock.
That's awesome, though. That clock's badass.
It really is.
That's a good clock. If I had $2,000, I'd probably buy that clock.
My wife would kill me if I bought it on something like
Yes.
that.
Do it.
I'd be moving
Do
up.
it.
Me and you'd
Yeah.
be moving in together.
And the last piece of movie memorabilia is something that I want in my house. It is a Back to the Future pinball arcade machine
Yes.
for basically $11,000. $11,000, and you can get yourself a Back to the Future pinball machine, which
And
is
I
really cool.
yes, it is a badass machine. We played it in Las Vegas at the Pinball Hall of Fame. It
Oh.
is there, and it is an awesome pinball machine.
Awesome.
More iconic than anything else.
What you got for related reels, Mikey?
All right, so I do have one thing of trivia which I thought was interesting, and of course, like Bebo said, there's about a gazillion things. But the scene when Leah Thompson's character comes back and follows Marty McFly to Doc's house in 1955 was the only on-screen dialogue that Leah Thompson and Christopher Lloyd had in the entire series.
That makes sense. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was kind of a rare piece of like, wow, that's epic. That's something, yeah, you never think about because it's always Doc and Marty all the time. With
Biff and Doc don't have any dialogue together.
No, if you actually pay attention to that movie, the only dialogue that he has besides Marty is that one scene with her and the one scene with the officer or whatever. Or was that in the sequel where he's actually like tightening everything?
That's in two. Oh no, that was in one.
I'm just talking about one. They're him and Doc.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. Like if you pay
yeah.
attention to one, those are the only other two people that Brown ever talks to.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't talk with anybody else in the entire cast.
Yeah, just that
That's
one.
true.
Yeah. Oh, wow. I never even thought about that.
See,
Good piece of
people,
trivia.
it goes to show you that you can still find shit years later.
It is true.
You think you know the movie, but in all actuality, you don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I need a big rainbow with a star saying the more you know.
Now you
Yeah. Yeah, so related reels. So I picked the three iconic actors in the movie, Michael J. Fox, Christopher Lloyd, and Leah Thompson. So I tried to still stay with our genre, 80s and 90s. And the Michael J. Fox I came up with is the 1985 hit that he had was, I guess you could say it was a hit. Back then it was Teen Wolf, which was also an iconic movie that kind of picks him, of course, as a high school kid. It's in the same time frame as Back to the Future 1. And that's kind of the two movies that kind of elevated his stardom other than, the TV show Family Ties.
Right.
But his first movie that I saw him in is actually, I want to say, you'd have to look it up, but his very first movie was called Midnight Madness in 1980. So hard to find. I'm sure you can. I don't think you can stream it, but definitely can find it to purchase, of course, or rent. But I would recommend it. It's very fun. It has a lot of iconic 80s characters, like David Naughton is in it from American Werewolf in London.
If you can't stream it, where would you find it to rent? Because there's no such thing as Blockbusters or
Yes, you could go to rental. There is what's that place? Blockbuster Video. You can rent it on you can
Amazon
rent it
Prime.
on Hulu and
on
Netflix
Amazon
and
Prime?
stuff.
Okay.
Amazon.
Yeah, I mean
okay,
for rent. Yeah, there's no place for you to actually
go rent it. No.
Yeah,
Not anymore.
not go rent it or even just stream it like you would a normal movie. I mean, you probably could, but right now, from what I can see here, it's available for $3.99 on Amazon Prime Video, Vudu, and YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. So definitely worth the watch. Definitely tell it's an 80s movie, but some iconic 80s actors that are in this in that movie. So Christopher Lloyd, of course, for us, it's always the iconic 1985 Clue. which we have done on one of our podcasts previously.
Never saw it.
Nope, never did. And Addams Family, where he plays Uncle Fester in Addams Family 1 and Values. Again, to me, iconic. Christopher Lloyd as Fester. I love Raul Julia in that movie, the late Raul Julia. But also, icon. You need to find it and watch it. Leah Thompson. So Leah Thompson, 1986, Howard the Duck, a Marvel character. However, we just know him as Howard the Duck and never knew it was a Marvel character until maybe a couple of years ago. But a great movie, odd movie as well, with yeah.
No, I got that feeling. Yes.
Yes, it's one of those.
And in 1 and 3 second little singing by him just absolutely ruined that fucking movie for me.
Yeah, at the end. I'm talking about at the end where you have to watch it.
Yeah.
So and then another one in the same year, 1986, Space Camp, which is also a cool movie, not really an iconic movie from the 80s, but also did have like Kate Capshaw, which she was getting off of Indiana Jones at that point, as well as Tate Donovan, which she's been in a few movies here and there, not many. But also, just fun movies from the 80s and 90s, good watches, movies that would come on and you'd sit there and watch. All these movies I would recommend to watch or rent or buy.
Awesome.
Either way.
Awesome. Well, I do believe that does it for this episode, the super side episode of Back to the Retro Review. Yes, this has been a good sized episode because it is our movie. This is our favorite movie, hands down. Thank you for watching. Remember, hit that like bell, give us a thumb in, all that stuff. And for Mikey the Freak and Bebo, keep it retro, everybody.
See ya.
Peace.